So, going to continue the theme of euthanizing the old, the infirm, the mentally handicapped and all things like that. Not because I'm a psychopath, because I'm a philosopher, a psychoanalyst, a humanist, can you say, a practicalist. There's lots of things that we could coin ourselves as being if we have thoughts like this. It's emotion aside. Philosophers are not given to being drawn, moved and compelled with their emotions. They use their minds, their intelligence, their logic to see what's going on in the world. And lots of you, I think, forget that. I think you forget that there is a certain platform which is at the base of my channel, and it's kind of like a three-tiered platform. It's spirituality, it's philosophy, and it's psychology, psychoanalysis. And so when I look at the world pretty devoid of emotion, because emotion clouds our vision and it contains and constrains our rational thoughts. How would we ever come to the decision that it's beneficial for the human race to eradicate the burden of aged and infirm people if we have aged and infirm loved ones? Well, we're not going to very well make those decisions, are we? But what you can observe from the past, people, is that many people made those decisions, and it was emotional. They weren't getting involved in emotions. They were thinking about practicality, they were thinking about resources, they're thinking about money, they're thinking about the amount of labour involved and all different sorts of things like that. Now, we could say, well, if you look at what happened in Germany during 1939, 1945, that was pretty radical. Yeah, that was pretty radical. But I think if you lent yourself to really knowing what went on in 2019 with that certain thing going around, then that was pretty radical too. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that wasn't something that just happened. That was planned. Some of you may know a little bit about the planning of it. Some of you will have watched many videos, seen many documentaries which were years before. Some of you will have listened to people who have showed you the patents for all of the so-called inoculations, the so-called, what do they fucking call that shit? The virus zapper. It's just nonsense. Just nonsense, people. So when you can look back as far as 2008 and you can see patents for what came out of these pharmaceutical plants, well, you know it. They didn't create it within 2 or 3 months. You know they didn't do that. And in view of the fact that any other virologist or anybody in that field at all would have told you that you couldn't get anything remotely that's going to be safe and effective short of 15 years. It takes 15 years to, you know, manage to discover like an antidote and to be able to do the testing safely and see what side effects there are and everything like that. 3 months, nonsense. So anyway, that's a whole can of worms, but I'm absolutely convinced, along with millions of others, that that was a culling procedure. And so I wonder how many viewers actually I've got at the moment in time who would have an adherence with that. Those of you that don't have an adherence with that, I think you're pretty new to this channel, to be fair, and I think probably you won't last long. The more you learn about the things I say. Yeah, so obviously, look, Bill Gates is on record. There's a video, a TED Talk, where he says that he and his boys are heading for a 15% population reduction. And this video was, I don't know, 2016, something like that. He didn't say population stabilisation. He said population reduction, people. So we have to listen very, very carefully to the words that were used. And a reduction, that means, well, you've got to reduce the population. How are you going to do that? Well, you can create, you know, willy-nilly wars here and there, because all these countries are all in it together. They've all got the same problem, to reduce the population. And yeah, they do all that sort of stuff. And so when we look into how the world is actually run, it is exceedingly radical in any shape or form. And it's only the very, very naive that think it's just this normal world, and you know, we're just normal people, and we're just trying to make a way, and there's a few, you know, naughty boys, but you know, not that naughty, and this, that and the other. And Bill Gates is the philanthropist, and Elon Musk is, you know, also a great guy, and all this sort of stuff. You're all wrong on many, many levels. Anybody that's at the top, anybody that's close or within the top 100 richest people on the planet, every single one of them is controlled. If they weren't, they wouldn't be alive. These people that run this planet are vastly more powerful than any Elon Musk or president or billionaire. So here is a video which is from David Icke, and David Icke is all for saving the aged and not having any culling or anything like that going on. And this is where he and I differ greatly, because I just consider he's completely wrong. I think he's operating from his emotions, and I don't know whether he has old family members and things like that. I mean, David Icke is, I think he's about 70 now, so he could still have old parents, but I don't think so. But, you know, if we want to hang on to the old, then what does that mean? You know, the reason why I'm making these videos, people, because lots of people around me in my vicinity, even family members, have suffered greatly by having their lives completely absorbed by caring for elderly parents. Now, the mother of my daughter, she actually ended up in a hospital due to a nervous breakdown with the stress that she was under for many, many years, caring for her elderly mother, because she was adamant that she just wouldn't go in a home. Until the end, they just had to force her in a fucking home. Falling down the stairs, leaving the oven on, talking with, you know, Nigerian fraudsters on the internet who pose to be nice country gentlemen and found, you know, this woman attractive. Goodness me, she was 80 years old. She used to be posting pictures of her in a bra. 80-year-old woman, you know, nobody can't be trusted. Her daughter, the woman that I had my daughter with, was driven insane. She'd say, "What the fuck are you doing, woman?" And then, you know, these fraudsters from Nigeria who pose to be, you know, affluent gentlemen or women, and they tell you that, oh, you know, they're just waiting for their mansion to sell, they're in a marital dispute, but when the money's released it's going to be 10 million, and they can't wait to come over to see you, and, you know, we'll fly off into the sunset together, but in the interim, I wonder if you can help me out. I just need 20 grand for this, and, you know, I'll use part of that money to get over and see you, and this, that and the other, and all this business going on. So, yes, there's a massive amount of stress. And now the old woman is in a home and she is literally to everything. My daughter goes to see her and my daughter's mum goes to see her, and she doesn't know who's fucking there. She doesn't even know she's in a home. And the tragic thing about it is that she had quite a lot of money. And it's being vastly depleted at the rate of £4,000 a month, gobbled up by this nasty little crap home, with nothing special going on there at all. And this is the thing, isn't it? So how soul destroying, like let's just say for this old woman's daughter, the mother of my daughter, who was caring for her because she is, very kind, she's a great carer, this, that and the other, but she's not going to get a penny recompense because she's going to just watch it all be gobbled up by these fucking crooked old people's homes. And I just think that's fucking tragic, particularly in view of the fact that the old woman doesn't even know who the fuck she is when she goes to visit her. And if she does vaguely remember, she often forgets the name, and she says the same thing over and over, and she never actually says, so what are you doing with my house then? Is my house on the market? What are you going to do with the money? Nothing! She just looks around and she goes, do you like my home? Like this. And the daughter goes, yeah, it's nice, Mum. For fuck's sake, people. This old woman living next to me, she got to be 88. She's still alive now. She had the emergency service, the ambulance service, the paramedics, whatever, coming out 3 times a week, year in, year out. And they would take her away and then keep her in a couple of days or a day, and then they'd bring her back. And every time she went in, I'd swear that'd be the fucking last time. But no, she kept coming back. And the fucking old bitch, she's still kicking today. And she seems to be getting younger and fucking younger. Meanwhile, her daughter, who's been caring for her for the last 20 years, is getting older and older and fatter and uglier, and no life, just stress with it all. Every single day going shopping to buy this, to buy that. And the old woman smokes 40 fags a day. She's been smoking 40 fags a day, people, for 60 years. She's 88 now. And the fucking old bitch just won't die. And yet she's housebound. When she was here, she used to knock on my door. She used to manage to come over the corridor, knock on my door, and she'd ask me to go and buy her fags and a fucking whiskey from over the road. Which I do, and sometimes, milk, and then she'd ask me in for a cup of tea, and I'd have a chat with her, because she's all there. She's one of those that's all there, but absolutely skinny, old, and scary to look at, and all that shit. But she didn't want to live. She says, I can't go nowhere, Aaron, I can't do anything, I'm living a life of hell. And yet, the soul just keeps fucking ticking over. I'm pretty sure if euthanasia was available to her, she would have took it a long time ago. Now, all the resources, can you imagine? I don't know, look, let's just say off the top of my head, there's 5 million pensioners in the United Kingdom. And there's an enormous amount of those who are in constant care. So they need an enormous amount of government funding, doing whatever they do. And if they've got, siblings, then, the amount of stress they're under, watching the parents just forget everything and defecate themselves and do all stupid things that old people do. It's a big stress. And some of you will have had experiences like this. Some of you will be having experiences like this. And doubtless some of you will be going, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Aaron. To be fair, I wish the old fucker, would die. It'd be better for her, better for me, better for every fucker. And then, the house could be sold because lots of us, could do with the money, and this, that and the other. All this stuff going on. And if the old people live in old people's homes, then look at the prices of property these days. Young people can't even begin to get on the fucking property ladder unless both of them are working with full-time jobs. It's absolutely tragic because the prices are going higher and higher and higher and higher. And meanwhile, there's millions and millions of old farts taking up these valuable properties. And if they were substantially reduced, then look at all the property that comes instantly available. And all the young people then maybe within half a chance that could own a fucking home of their own. So there's a million reasons why the old people should go. And what I'm proposing is that with education, to let everybody know that euthanasia is a thing, and if you feel that, you know, shitting yourself, pissing yourself, you know, slipping over in the bath all the fucking time, and calling the paramedics out, you know, 5 times a fucking week, if you think that that might be a bit of a burden for people around you, then you might look at doing the honourable thing. And the honourable thing is just to take the fucking injection. And so you tell your carers, yeah, it's time. Give me that bye-byes juice. I want the bye-byes juice. And if I ask Kathy, then I'm pretty sure she'd grab it tomorrow. This is the old girl which used to live over the road, over the corridor from me, but now she's in a home, costing the government fucking shed load of money because she never had anything. But how cruel. The people that worked all their lives and bought their own homes and made their investments, well, you know, these old people's homes, they just love gobbling all that up. And it must be absolutely soul destroying for any of the kids to see that happening. And I can't help thinking that every time the kids go to see their parents in these old people's homes, and they just keep living, they just keep living, and they're going to be in despair, thinking, for fuck's sake, when are you going to just fucking die already? There's fucking no money left. You know, and even if it wasn't about money, there's no point in me coming in to see you. You don't know who I am. You're asleep most of the time. Come on, people. It's a fucking joke. I could go on and on and on. It's wrong. It's morally wrong. That's what I'm saying. To keep old people living beyond their natural fucking age is morally wrong. It's a burden on the state, it's a burden on siblings, it's a burden on the health services and everything. Can you imagine the paramedics all going out to fucking dead bodies in fucking skin, you know, when, you know, they would have been, you know, very, very well received and hopefully get there on time with an accident with young people, a car crash or whatever, anything. You know, I'm pretty sure young people's lives could be saved if the services weren't all fucking taken up, sitting outside. They used to sit outside here for 3 fucking hours, you know, whilst they're calling for somebody else, because they needed about 4 people to get her down the stairs in this fucking wheelchair that weighed fucking a whole ton. I lifted it down the stairs one day, about broke my fucking balls. Fucking wheelchair made of iron. And so all that shit's going on. And then, you know, the little old lady, she'd show up outside here with the paramedics, and it was a different batch of paramedics, and they don't realise that she's going up 1 flight of stairs, and then it's kind of like they're looking around, well, what the fuck, well, I can't get her up there, this, that and the other. And so then I see the situation and I go and do it, but without me, what the fuck would have happened? She'd have been sitting there, you know, for fucking hours in the van waiting for backup. It's morally wrong, people. It's a fucking scourge on modern life. And so there are countries on the planet which are tentatively starting to address that issue, because we need to release all of these properties. We need to release the medical service, the paramedics and the ambulances and all that. We need to release those for young people, which you know, we need, and society benefits from keeping alive. And there's every reason why you would want to keep young, healthy people alive. But keeping bags of shit alive, for what fucking reason? What reason, people? When I'm telling you now, the vast majority of them, if there was a survey done, they'd say, no, I've been wanting to go for 10 fucking years. But in my cunting country, they won't fucking allow that. They won't allow me to take my own fucking life. Who do they think they fucking are? Right. So anyway, rant out the way. This is David Icke. And this is what David Icke says. Come on. Oh, for fuck's sake. Where's the fucking... Oh, come on, for goodness sakes, what's going on? Get off. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Every night that go dark.
Right, wrong one. This is the one.
This week in Britain, there has been a vote in Parliament for a bill to introduce what's called assisted dying. State-sanctioned killing that will no longer be illegal. Now, it's got some levels that it has to go through, a sequence it has to go through. But the first time it was voted upon this week, it had a positive support in the Houses of Parliament, the Commons. So this assisted dying law is leading, although they obviously won't say this, to something I'll come to in a second, called the demise pill, which takes you from assisted dying, these are people that are terminally ill, to compulsory dying, which is where this is really leading to. So anyway, here's a report on the assisted dying bill and a look at its implications.
Britain's Parliament voted in favour of a new bill to legalise assisted dying on Friday.
The ayes to the right, 330. The noes to the left, 275. The ayes have it, the ayes have it.
The vote opens the way for months of further debate over an issue that has sparked a national conversation over dignity in death and end-of-life care. Here is Labour lawmaker Keane Leadbeater.
Look, we've shown Parliament in its best light today. Very respectful, very compassionate debate, irrespective of the different views that people hold. We take the bill to the next stage now. We continue the process, and it will be a very thorough process.
The bill would provide mentally competent, terminally ill adults in England and Wales who are assessed by doctors to have 6 months or less left to live the right to choose to end their lives with medical help. As it makes its way through both the House of Commons and the House of Lords, it could still be changed or even voted down. Those in favour of the bill say it is about shortening the death of those who are terminally ill and giving them more control. But opponents say vulnerable ill people may feel they should end their lives for fear of being a burden to their families and society rather than prioritising their own well-being. Others expressed concern that there had not been enough time to consider the bill before voting. People in favour of assisted dying who had gathered in groups outside Parliament hugged and cheered after the result of the vote was announced.
If the law comes in quickly enough, yeah, it'll give me a bit of insurance in my pocket in case things go a bit squiffy. There are a lot of people who it's going to help. Hopefully I'll be one of them.
There are so many people out there that have a hope that they may not have to suffer the way that so many loved ones have suffered in the past.
The bill would change the law in England and Wales. As to the other countries in the United Kingdom, Scotland is considering a change to its own law to allow assisted dying, but there are no such proposals in Northern Ireland.
With assisted dying, you're caught in a bit of a bind, because on one level, you don't want people to suffer. And so you can be through.
This practitioner.
Good
this
God.
technique achieves the deepest possible level of hypnosis.
but there had not been enough time to consider the
from everywhere that assisted dying has been made legal, not least Canada. Canada's assisted dying program has gone too far, says lawyer who tried to take his own life. Canada introduced assisted dying in 2016 for adults with a terminal illness. Exactly what this bill in Britain is about. That's where it's supposed to end. Not meant to. In 2021, it was extended to people with no terminal illness and the disabled. On 17th of March 2027, anyone with a serious mental health problem will also be eligible. Campaigners in Canada argue that the program, known as MAID, Medical Assistance in Dying, has gone too far. Are you kidding? Orlando da Silva has struggled with crippling depression since he was a 9-year-old boy. The high-flying Ontario lawyer is 56 years old now and has tried to take his own life a number of times. He says if MAID had been offered to him when he was at his lowest, he would have taken the option to end his life. But he argues that people like him need help with their condition, not help to die. You just think you're a worthless little boy and eventually a worthless teenager, and then one day a worthless man, Orlando says, describing the impact of his mental health on his childhood and later into his adult life. We need help. We need to give hope. We don't need an easy death. Like I want us to be a better society than that. Yeah, but the cult doesn't, mate. So.
Well, look, okay. I mean, you see, the thing is, people campaigning for and against. Of course, this is human nature. Now, he just recited a story of a lawyer bloke who tried to take his life 3 times. Well, he didn't try that hard, did he? Maybe, maybe he should have tried harder. But then what it says was, then he met this wonderful woman and then they had 3 wonderful kids. And so this is why you shouldn't take your lives. Well, I mean, how many people have died because they wanted to take their lives? Now, my mother took her life. My father took his life. 2 of my best friends took their lives. And many other people I've known have took their lives when they just felt that they had nothing to live for anymore. And if we're speaking about mental health, how many people, you the viewers, suffer from mental health and you've been trying to get a resolve on it for many, many years? The help Ike's talking about doesn't exist. They try you on psychotropics, they'll try you on this pills and that potion, and this stuff is very, very hit and miss. And the vast majority of people that I have encountered who suffer in this way, they've all said that even if these SSRIs do work partially, it's only short-lived, and then their hell on earth is back with them again. And this guy that I'm friends with in the gym, he said that he's been suicidal for 9 years and he was going to literally give it 2 more years, and then he said he's fucking done because he's tried everything. And that's the one I introduced to psilocybin mushrooms, and his life turned around then and he's very different now. And so if Ike is talking about the sort of help that the world needs, well, it's in those magic mushrooms. And the sooner the fucking governments of the world start to accept that, then the better. Because all the doctors and institutions that to do these psilocybin experiments with patients and everything, that they're all crying the praises, and they're saying that addictions very often are just solved within one dose. Suicidal people changes their life. Everything. These mushrooms are a miracle, but the governments don't want to know. And so you look what the government's doing. How much more evidence do they need about DMT and psilocybin and MDMA and ketamine and fucking all the rest of this stuff? People cry out that they're miracles. They're miracles, cures for the human psyche, and yet they don't give it any funding, and they make it exceedingly almost impossible to pass any of these as safe. And yet we absolutely know that every single pharmaceutical under the sun, when you read the fucking insert, you peel it down like this paper which is about 5 feet fucking long, and it's got the print for the fucking devil. Well, when you get your magnifying glass out there, well, it'll tell you there's 1,000 things, the so-called side effects that you could suffer, and there's things like bleeding of the eyes, swelling of the heart, severe suicidal thoughts, and you're like, what? I've just got a fucking headache. You know what I'm saying? And so the pharmaceutical companies are fucking evil. The governments mostly are fucking evil, and the people are fucking idiots. And that's it. You know, if the people stand up for their own rights. If the people just get some fucking balls, if the people just go online and go, well, what does arsenic do? What poison can I buy off the fucking shelf? And if I want to end my life, then I don't need to sit in a nice comfy bed and, have all my family sitting around making a fucking movie out of it. I don't need a physician to come in, in a housemate fucking thing and give me the bye-byes juice. You just do what you've got to do. You got fucking jugular veins, you've got arteries, you've got fucking pills, you've got any number of things. In America, everybody owns a gun. What's the problem with suicide? I don't know what the problem is, to be fair, people. But the problem is in the psyche of people. They're not taught, they're not awoken to that being an option, that being a thing. Because if it was a thing in society, every time somebody got old, like my sister, she's around here the other night, and she's 59, and she's not happy. She's not happy with her body, she's not happy with how she's aging, and she's telling me, I'm telling you now, I will fucking end it. I'm not having those fuckers drain all my fucking life savings away because I'm fucking and I don't even know my own name, whilst my kids, my 2 sons, ain't getting the fucking penny. No. So as soon as she starts to go like that, she says she's going to end it, and she will. But how many people are prepared to do that? How many people just think like that? It seems these drones don't even think about it. I used to go around, try tentatively, to get a little bit of info out of Kathy about, well, did she want to end it? Well, if you don't want to live and you're housebound, that's all she was. She just look out the fucking window and wait for her daughter to come to bring whatever she was bringing. And that was her life. When she moved from that apartment, the decorators had to come in. And when the decorators were there, I went in and had a word with one of the workers. And they said they're doing a whole fucking revamp of the whole place because she'd been there for 50 years. No, not 50 years, 35 years, 30 years. And she smoked 40 a day, and every single nook and cranny, the whole fucking place was yellow. Not only was it yellow, but it was dripping down yellow, where the nicotine had stuck on the walls and started to form into globules, and then started to sag down. Everything was yellow, and it just fucking, the floors had to come up, the fucking windows had to come out because they just couldn't be cleaned, and all the rest of it. And she was still fucking living. But what I'm saying, people, the old people downstairs, I say to them, how are you doing? I'm like, well, sun's shining, fucking sun's shining. Or I say, how are you doing? Well, you just fucking get on, don't you? You fucking get on, don't you? If there's no joy in life, then fucking give up your apartment, give up your fucking pension, give up your fucking funds, and, you know, put it back into the fucking government coffers, or if you've got any money, then leave it to them. And get off this fucking planet. That's what I'm saying. If life's, get the fuck off this planet. For fuck's sake. You know, there's one old guy downstairs, and you know, he doesn't go walking anywhere now because he's afraid of falling over. He can't fucking see, but he won't wear glasses because he says when he wears glasses, his glasses steam up because his eyes are always running, so he can't see anything then. He's waiting for operations, but they're not going to do it until this, until that, until something else. And, you know, then he's got a big swelling on his face, and then he's got a fucking hernia in his groin, and then he's got a fucking limp, and then good God. And he's on the vodka every single fucking day. How many people just don't want to be here? How many people, if you give them the choice, if you started to educate people, you know, you just introduce them to some religious doctrine that there's an afterlife, you know, and it's all going to be wonderful, and you're going to be walking along with Jesus, and all you got to do is just say that, you know, you love Jesus, and then you'll be there. Simple, isn't it, really? And so, yeah, you know, here's this little book, you read that, and then you tell us when you're ready. Yeah, and then you tell your family, and give your family these flyers and get everybody introduced to it. And I'm pretty sure, you know, all of the old folks, kids, are going to be like, well, that looks pretty interesting, Mum. So, I mean, well, where is it you sign? Oh, right, okay. So, yeah, well, I mean, if you don't want to suffer anymore, and, well, it sounds really great up there, and they're like, this fucker, you know, fucking hell, you know, there's probably £500,000 in the house or something. Though any house in Britain these days is worth £250,000. And so, I'm pretty sure that with a little bit of introduction of that it's quite an acceptable thing to do just to educate the fucking idiots, then, you know, it'll catch on like wildfire because it's got everything positive going for it. And the alternative is all negative. It's all downhill. It's a drain on the state. It's a drain on the medical services. It's a drain on the siblings and the carers. Fucking psyche and life force, for goodness sake. What are you, it's like a ball and chain. Old fuckers, they can live for another 30 fucking years. They need constant care. It destroys people. It fucking destroys people's souls, and I've seen it with my own eyes. And I'm saying there's no fucking value in keeping them alive. If you've got someone that's compos mentis and they can get about, they can still, great. I'm saying for those that can't, that need fucking constant care and the housebound and they're miserable as fuck and they don't want to live in any case, people should have the choice. Now, as to why Ike isn't thinking along lateral fucking rational lines, thinking, yes, people should have the choice, why shouldn't they have the choice, Ike? Let's see what he's got to say.
He says, thank God I didn't succeed. Thank God I failed, because if I had succeeded, I would never have met my wife.
Yeah, that's one in a million.
I never would have had 3 beautiful daughters. I never would have had the rewarding personal and professional career I've had, since I would have never learned all that's beautiful in the world from them. He is now using his experience to try to help others like him who might choose an assisted death. When they are allowed to do so in just over 2 years. So what they're doing is people who are not in the course of a terminal illness, but just fed up with life, are being offered the option of assisted dying. Now, this is meant to reach the point where it's not assisted, it's compulsory. And here is a view from the British Conservative MP, Danny Kruger. And what he says is obviously true.
I think we should look at Canada with great concern about what a assisted dying law would do, because there in Canada you have many cases of people being offered an assisted death without having suggested it themselves. people being offered this when really what they needed was just care. I mean, not even palliative care, but just care to live well. So people with serious disabilities not being able to get the social care package or the
Yeah, people with physical and mental disabilities not getting the care because the government's not offering the fucking care. How many of you viewers have got mental issues that you never get to resolve on because the government just doesn't have the fucking answers? How many of you are still waiting for therapy from the government and it's 2 years, it's 3 years gone by, you could have killed yourself 10,000 times over and still you haven't got that fucking care that you need? There isn't the care. It doesn't exist anymore. That sort of care is a thing of the past. And so if you're going to be offering people the way out, then that's perfectly reasonable and rational. And okay, some people you could say, well, they made a mistake because they could have got better. How many years do you give it? Do you give it 1 year? Do you give it 2 years? Do you give it 5 years? Do you give it 10 years? Do you give it 20 years? That's your fucking choice. It's your choice, people. You people shouldn't be speaking for other people who are suffering and in pain every single day. You saw on the previous clip all these people campaigning for and against. You saw the people crying with joy, those which were against, because one woman says, well, it will give respite to thousands, millions of people suffering every single day, living in fucking hell. Why? Because the government won't or can't do anything about it.
The adjustments to their home that they wanted in order to live well, but being offered this cheaper option of an assisted death and taking it. In Canada, you've got people with diabetes, with eating disorders, being offered it and taking it. But I'm afraid these sorts of terrible stories apply everywhere. I mean, there's not a country in the world which has assisted dying where people with eating disorders haven't made use of it.
Now, when I talk about the demise pill, I'm talking about a guy who I've featured at length in my books, and particularly at length in this one, Phantom Self, where I lay out in detail what this guy, Richard Day, who was a big Rockefeller family insider and a pediatrician, what he said to fellow pediatricians at an event in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1969. And what he did is he stood up. No one knows why he did this, but I'm glad he did. And he said he wanted people to turn off recording equipment and not to take notes because he was going to tell them how the world was going to change. Because basically what he represented was going to change it. And anyone that's read my books and what I say about Richard Day and what he said that night will know that he described in fine detail often what has since happened. He worked, for instance, in weather manipulation during the Second World War. And he talks in this presentation to these pediatricians about how they can control the weather and they can use it as a weapon of war, not least against the people. It's human-caused climate change. He said in 1969 that they were going to make boys and girls the same. And he talked about the demise pill and the compulsory killing of old people once they get to a certain age. And there was a pediatrician in the audience called Lawrence Donegan, who did take notes. And later, he did a series of interviews in which he described what Day said that night, because he had realized by then that what Day said was going to happen was actually happening. And so Day said that, this is just part of it. He said that there was this plan to have compulsory end of life. And he put it like this, and this is Dunnigan describing what he said. And the idea was that if everybody says enough, what a burden it is on the young to try to maintain the old people, then the young would become agreeable to helping mum and dad along the way, providing this was done humanely and with dignity. And then the example was that there could be a nice farewell party, a real celebration. Mum and dad had done a good job. And then after the party's over, they take the demise pill.
Well, wonderful. Now, I haven't listened to this. I only listened to the first couple of minutes of it before I decided that I was going to make this video. So what these people were saying in the 60s is precisely what I'm saying now, and it is what many reasonable people would say. Why wouldn't it? If you had education, look, we're not going to live forever, we're going to suffer. And if you don't want to suffer, then here's an opportunity. And, you know, you can tell your family at any time that you suffered too much, you're bored, you've done it here, you're out of it. Why is that a problem, David? You know, it's not like some big major conspiracy from the powers that be. It's just somebody addressing an issue that humanity is going to have ever increasingly if we are keeping old people alive longer and longer and longer. More and more of them. The resources, the amount of labour, the stress it's causing, everything is all wrong.
Which would take them out of this world, shall we say. And that is where this is leading, and has always meant to be leading. And we should be aware of that when we are supporting, for compassionate reasons, what we think is one thing when it's meant to lead to something very much more sinister.
So, okay, David, you say, look, we have to be aware then that if we vote in for euthanasia, it's just only a couple of stepping stones away to forced culling and this, that and the other. Well, that's a bit of a stretch of the imagination, you know, because it's exceedingly difficult to get these bills passed. You see how they're debating it in Parliament and there's people campaigning outside, and even if they vote yes, if most of the House vote yes, it's not a foregone conclusion, it's probably got to go to the Supreme Court and this, that and the other. It's not easy to do. And so, Ike, are you supposing that the courts are going to be making it compulsory without an uproar? There's a big enough uproar now, and it's only just tentatively, you know, just about people that, well, if they want to, then you can. If you're talking about something compulsory, you're talking about a Nazi fascist state again. You know, no, it's not going to work like that, Ike. And stuff like that just poisons people's minds and makes them more afraid than they are afraid. We have to think about this thing rationally. We have to think about it compassionately, you know, because at the end of the day, we've got to ask these people, we've got to communicate with them. You know, how many people actually speak about, are they afraid of death? How many of you say to your mother or father, are you afraid of death, mum, dad? How much thought do you give it? But, you know, when I've asked people, they just go, no, don't even think about it. And the grandmother of my daughter, she's like, I think 83 now or something. She's in fucking cuckoo land. And so the human being, it has this genius within it which sends old people back to being children, only less intelligent than the 1-year-old, because they can't even remember, you know, what's going on around them, people's names and things like that. And so that's the beautiful soft approach of death. It's a natural thing. It's a natural culling chemical within their bodies. It just turns their mind off from any thoughts of death, any terror, you know, the fear, anxiety. They don't have it. They die in fucking peace or joy, ecstatic. I mean, my daughter's grandmother, she's, you know, really fucking hideous. It's like she's on fucking, you know, mega excitement drugs. It's a fucking joke. And like, you know, I'm just hoping every day. My daughter phones me, oh, Nana's died. Oh, for fuck's sake. Finally, for fuck's sake. All the fucking resources involved and all the visits and all the buying of the food from Marks and Spencer's. Oh, she likes this and she likes that. And then when she eats it, what's the point? No point, people. You know, you may think that I'm, you know, very discompassionate about it, but I never have been the greatest of compassionate people. I'm much more rational. You know, I can have tears in my eyes for the suffering of children, but when children get up to being adults, that's when my tears dry up. I just don't get tears for adult suffering because there's a management agency within their minds. There's an understanding what goes on. They know what's going on. They've got a disease or they've had a bad accident. But with children, it's different. You know, children don't know what the fuck's going on, and that's where, of course, all of our hearts bleed. None of us want to see children suffering. So what I want to see is I want to see all the money that's being filtered into these old useless folks to be filtered into our children, into our youth. So we do have paramedic vans on hand. We do have hospitals open and available. We do have all the staff and they're not tired as fuck and worn out and all that sort of thing. I want all the energy and the resources and the love and compassion putting back where it belongs, in the youth, people. That's what I'm saying. So vote for the Awaken Brave 2025.